Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa Ali wa sahbi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings be upon all of you, to all of our viewers, Muslims, non-Muslims, here in Burlington and beyond. And a special Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings to our youth out there. We miss you very much. We miss seeing you at Friday prayer, at Sunday school, at our Saturday youth nights. But alhamdulillah, we've got a lot of activities going on online. We've got the Facebook page active. You've seen some of the videos there, inshallah. We're starting out with some virtual youth nights coming up, and we're looking forward to online virtual iftars during Ramadan. So lots of fun things coming up. Now, I know with Ramadan approaching, many of you are concerned about the fact that you'll be missing out on some of those community activities, right? And it's been several weeks now that we've been able to go to the masjid. We've not been there in weeks. And some of you might be growing concerned about, how can we still maintain community in this time of social distancing, right? The community is so important to Muslims and to Islam, right? This idea of an ummah, a community of believers, and as well as being active in our communities, to helping our neighbors, right? All these things are so important. So how can we keep that up even during times of social distancing? So that's the big question I have for you today, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts as well, and some comments if you'd like. Well, first of all, I wanted to kind of look back historically and think about how Muslims in ages before our own have dealt with similar issues. And it turns out that by socially isolating, by doing something called quarantine, right, kind of keeping ourselves at home if we're feeling sick or if we have symptoms, that's actually following in a very long Islamic tradition. Few people know actually that the word quarantine comes from Ibn Sina. So who is Ibn Sina? For those of you who don't know, he is a great Muslim polymath. That means an expert in lots of different subjects. He was born in 980 AD in Central Asia, and by 10 years old, he was a hafidh of the Quran, so he memorized the Quran. He was a very devout Muslim. And by 16, he began his interest in medicine. As you do, teenager, just dabbling in medicine. And he wrote hundreds of texts in lots of different fields, from philosophy and theology and religion to medicine and the sciences. And many of these books were translated and became part of the kind of compendium of knowledge and information that was taken to Europe, and which helped to seed the European Renaissance. And among his books, he wrote 40 alone on medicine. Some of them are still known as classics today, like the Book of Healing, which is known as one of the largest encyclopedias of medical knowledge ever compiled by a single human being. That was written by Ibn Sina. And another one of his works, his classical medical works, is called the Canon of Medicine. And in that text, he recommended that patients who are experiencing disease that seems to be spreading, right, a very contagious disease or sickness, that they isolate themselves in their rooms for 40 days. In Arabic, this was called arba'iniya, right, from arba'in, 40 in Arabic. And when this traveled to Europe, when it traveled to Italy, it became, in Latin, for 40, quarantina, or quarantine. Right, so even this term that we're hearing a lot on the news these days, quarantine, actually has its roots in this golden age of Islamic science and discovery. But of course, even this practice goes back to the time of the Prophet Muhammad himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, we have hadith about quarantines. There's a hadith that says, "Do not enter a land in which there is a plague, nor exit a land fleeing from that plague." So just by staying home and not going on that spring break or that summer vacation that you'd planned, just by doing that, you're actually following the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He also told us, "The one who flees from the plague is like the one who flees from battle. So whoever endures patiently will have the reward of a martyr," right? Someone who gives their life in defense of their people, of their community, of their religion. And I'm reminded about all those people who are on the front lines right now. Right, all the medical workers, the doctors and nurses, but also all the custodian staff, people cleaning our office buildings, all the folks who are delivering groceries or delivering food and medical supplies and other important things for our communities, truck drivers, logistics people, all those people who are on the front lines, who are bravely and patiently facing an unseen enemy just to keep their communities safe and to protect the most vulnerable. May Allah reward them. And this hadith from the Prophet tells us that they will have among the highest rewards, inshallah. So we see that even just by socially distancing, by staying at home, we're keeping each other safe, which is an act of community, right? It's not an act of isolation, of individual, I'm just keeping myself safe. No, we're keeping the whole community safe. And if you're one of those people on the front lines who has to go out there and do their job every day, inshallah, you are helping to contribute to the safety of our community, and you're doing a wonderful service for us. It's a wonderful act of charity, of sadaqah. And in fact, it is the highest act. As we know in the Quran, as it says in the Quran, وَمَنْ حَيَاهَا, whoever saves one or saves a life, فَكَأَنَّهَا حَيَا النَّاسِ جَمِيعًا. Right? Whoever saves one life, it is as if they saved all of humankind. So just by staying home, or just by delivering life-saving goods, you are actually contributing to the saving of lives. And therefore you're contributing to the saving of all of mankind, subhanAllah. But idhnillah, by the will of God, we heard from the governor here in North Carolina and other state officials that our social distancing actually is working, right? We're flattening the curve, as they say. Fewer people are getting sick because we're distancing from each other. Fewer people are being hospitalized. And alhamdulillah, fewer people are dying. So much so that, in fact, they've paused plans to build field hospitals. That means that the capacity that we have, the existing capacity, is able to take the number of patients we have right now because of what we're doing right now. Just by staying home, we're contributing to that, alhamdulillah. So may Allah reward all of you for that act of sacrifice, of just staying home. That is an act of community, it's a good deed, it's sadaqah, it's charity, it's a life-saving act. So may Allah reward all of you. But of course, we also know that it's incumbent upon us as Muslims to look after the most weak and the most vulnerable, the sick and the needy. So for example, from a hadith Qudsi, Allah tells us that on the day of judgment, Allah will ask mankind, He'll say, "Son of Adam, I was sick, but you did not visit me." And humans will reply, "But my Lord, how could I visit you? You are the Lord of the worlds." And Allah will reply, "Did you not know that one of my servants was sick, and you did not visit him? If you had visited him, you would have found me there." And that hadith goes on to say the same thing about the person who is hungry and the person who is thirsty, that we will find Allah there when we go to visit them with food and with water. And likewise, we know that it's incumbent upon us to not only visit the sick and to take care of the needy and the unfortunate, but just to take care of our neighbors. We have a hadith which the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, "He is not a believer whose stomach is filled while the neighbor to his side goes hungry." In another prophetic saying, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ tells us, "The best neighbor to Allah is the one who is best to his neighbors." Right? So we're also told to take care of each other and to take care of our neighbors. And who are our neighbors exactly? Well, certainly at least the houses around you, right? Your immediate neighbors. But even in one tradition, and scholars have debated this, but in one tradition, the Prophet Muhammad was asked about who are the neighbors that have rights on us. And the Prophet Muhammad said, 40 houses like this, and 40 houses like that, and 40 houses like this, and 40 houses like that to each side. So basically the whole neighborhood, the whole community, we are responsible for them. But how can we fulfill our obligations in a time of social distancing? Right? How can we visit the sick or take care of the hungry and the needy? Well, like I said before, obviously just by staying home, you're fulfilling the first obligation, by just keeping everyone safe. So now is not the time to go visit all of your neighbors, right? Now is the time not the time to go visit sick people. Of course, we can't even go into hospitals right now. But there are other ways you can share neighborly kindness to others, even if we can't do that in person right now. So first and foremost, you can always donate, right? And there are wonderful organizations out there, Islamic Relief and Penny Appeal, Muslim organizations that are out there responding to this crisis. They're out in communities, Muslim and non-Muslim communities here in the U.S., providing food and financial assistance and humanitarian supplies and hygiene kits and things like that. And they're also obviously working also in vulnerable populations around the world, like in Syrian refugee camps and in Rohingya refugee camps as well. So Islamic Appeal, Islamic Relief and Penny Appeal, organizations like that, consider giving some donations there. Obviously, with Ramadan coming up, you want to make some donations like that. But obviously, also, I'd like you to and I remind you, and I first and foremost remind myself to look locally as well. The Burlington Masjid needs your help getting more food for the food bank. So if you can get in touch with the masjid and arrange a time just to drop off some food, some non-perishable goods, canned goods, box goods, supplies for our community, please leave that at the masjid, or arrange a time to drop something off, or to just donate some money that supplies could be used with that money. And if you're healthy, the masjid is looking, along with their partners, for healthy hands who are able to distribute that food to our neighbors, to the wider Burlington community, for anyone in need. That's where that food is going to. So please consider donating food or money or some time to help distribute food to people who are suffering right now. A lot of people are off work. It's hard for a lot of people to get food, so please consider doing that. Also, I remind myself and remind all of you to think about those in your immediate network, maybe you're in your extended family or in your neighborhood, who might have a hard time cooking for themselves, or might have a hard time going to the grocery store. People who have underlying health conditions, and maybe they're not as familiar with how to order things online. Consider sending them a shipment of groceries from an online order, right? Maybe ask what they're needing right now and send them an order. Or drop something off at their doorstep, or maybe cook some food and drop it off for them on their doorstep and let them know it's there. Obviously, just remember to wash your hands and be safe and keep your distance. But that would be a wonderful good deed for anyone in your extended network who might have a hard time getting food or cooking food. And again, I think you could ask the masjid if there's anyone like that that we know of. And to the youth, I'd like to remind you and remind myself of just the need to be extra kind, caring, and patient with your mom and dad, and with your sisters and brothers, and with the family and neighbors. Everyone is going through a stressful time right now. For people who are still at work, for the essential workers, they're stressed, they're overworked. And for folks who are at home, maybe working from home, it's difficult balancing working from home and studying and teaching kids. Or if you're not working at all, that is its own stress. So please, let's just do everything we can to lighten that load, to share the burden, maybe do some extra good deeds around the house without being asked, and just try to keep the peace, and be extra kind, caring, respectful, and patient with your family and neighbors, inshallah. Also, through the miracle of modern technology, you can still visit, your elders, your extended family, folks who might be sick with other underlying health conditions, through the internet, right? Give them a call, or the old-fashioned phone, pick up a phone, give them a call, Skype your grandparents, whatever you need to do, wherever they are in the world, just to say hello and that you're thinking of them. We can still keep up those neighborly and familial duties through the internet, inshallah. Finally, for the younger viewers, for the kids out there, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that smiling is charity. Now, it's hard to smile right now when we're not seeing that many people, and maybe when we do, we have a mask on. So think about how you could bring a smile to their faces. Maybe decorate your bedroom windows, leave chalk messages on the sidewalks with messages of hope and thankfulness, of greetings to your neighbors. Think of ways you can make folks smile, even if we can't meet face-to-face right now. And when I think about these small kindnesses, of course, I'm reminded of one of my favorite short surahs of the Quran, Surah Ma'un, the chapter of the small kindness. And in that chapter, Allah tells us, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَرْدُو عَلَى الْيَتِيمِ وَلَا يُحُدُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Right? Have you seen the one who lies in his religion? The one who turns away the orphan and refuses to feed the poor and the needy? فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. For woe to those who pray. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who are heedless in their prayers. They don't think about what they're saying. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يَرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَعُونَ. those who just want to be seen in their prayers and their good deeds, but they forbid the small kindnesses. So inshallah, let us not be among those who just show off in our prayers or in our good deeds, but don't even think to do the small acts of kindness in our families and in our neighborhoods. Let us be among those who know that belief without action is a waste, right? And it doesn't make sense if you believe and you have to act out of that belief. And likewise, doing good deeds without belief, well, it might make a small momentary impact, but where are we in the long run with that? So let us be among those who are motivated out of our belief, out of our faith, to continue to constantly do good deeds, even those small good deeds. The Prophet Muhammad told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that it's the small good deeds that we do regularly, that we make a habit. Those are the ones that are going to make the most impact in our lives and in the lives of others. So let us be among those people who continue to do good deeds, small acts of kindness, even during these difficult times of distancing, right? And inshallah, that'll make our community even stronger when, bi'idhnillah, we're able to come back together and congregate once again. So until then, until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you soon, inshallah.